Gentlemen.
Reckless speculation. Reckless speculation.
I've got some Wolves speculation for you guys.
Okay. Reckless? Very reckless.
It's reckless in that nothing has been reported on this front. This is just a harebrained idea that I had about a month ago. Credit, I think Britt Robson actually also tweeted something about this a couple weeks ago, completely independent of my own musings. So there are
great
people think about
basketball.
this.
So great basketball minds are thinking alike, is what you're telling me.
And when people in the Twin Cities think of great basketball minds, they think Britt Robson and Phil Mackey.
No question about it.
Side by side.
Mm-hmm.
So the Timberwolves need a third star at some point. Someone to mesh with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. We've talked a lot about Devin Booker a couple times on this show. We've done the Devin Booker deep dive before the NBA came back to its bubble form, just based on the fact that Booker is really good friends with Towns and Russell, and he has hinted at, if not even just been full frontal, about not being thrilled with Phoenix and the inability to put a roster around him. So on the Booker front, Booker's got 4 years left on his deal in Phoenix, and whatever his value was 3 months ago, he went into the bubble, led the Suns to an 8-0 bubble, and was maybe the best offensive performer in the bubble.
So he's great in the bubble.
He was excellent in the bubble. He was excellent out of the bubble.
He's a bubble player.
My point is, I think his value has only gone up over the last 3 months, and whatever his price tag would have been, it just feels like the Suns, they've got something special in Devin Booker. It's going to be hard to pry him away from Phoenix. I also got a DM from somebody after we did this podcast, like whenever it was, a month and a half ago. Somebody from the Phoenix media sports scene who has been ingrained for 25 years, flat out DM'd, and he was like, that ain't, like, whatever, this Wolves Devin Booker thing ain't going to happen. I can tell you this, and this.
So you've got an alternative to the Devin Booker speculation.
That is correct.
I like how you
Reckless speculation.
move on quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and by the way, I still think Devin Booker would be great in a Wolves uniform. I don't know how much defense would be played between Devin Booker and D'Angelo Russell in the backcourt, but they would average like 60 points a game combined, and that'd be fun. Ben Simmons. Let's talk about Ben Simmons.
Reckless speculation.
The former number 1 overall pick, one of the star and more unique players in the NBA. Now, why could he be available? Why would the 76ers want to trade a guy that they have been building their franchise around, a guy that just signed a max contract? Well, number one, Philadelphia, without Ben Simmons, because he's injured, is down 2-0 in their opening round series. They're going to get beat in the opening round of the playoffs. It'll be another disappointing playoff performance for Philadelphia. They went from being this god-awful tanking team to being this contender for a couple years. I think they made the mistake of throttling down too aggressively by bringing Jimmy Butler in, and then he left, and they traded assets. They made the same mistake the Timberwolves made by bringing Jimmy Butler in instead of slow cooking their young players. And so there's that. There's the fact that Philadelphia has plateaued. There's the fact that people are frustrated with Ben Simmons. He's sidelined with an injury now. They're frustrated with Simmons and Embiid and the inability to coexist together. There's a lot of speculation that those guys just can't really play together long term because of their styles of play, their personalities. So all of those things lead me to, if I'm the Timberwolves, pick up the phone. Just pick up the phone and say, all right, so you guys have a problem. You're going to have to get rid of either Embiid or Simmons. And we'd love to help you with that problem by finding a third team, because the Timberwolves aren't going to. There were rumors, I think in February before the trade deadline, that the Sixers and the Warriors were talking potentially a Ben Simmons for D'Angelo Russell swap, which would have been interesting.
Reckless speculation.
Okay.
But the Timberwolves likely wouldn't be. If they're going to acquire Ben Simmons, the goal would be to keep D'Angelo Russell, right? So could you find a third team? The Timberwolves would have to give up like 2 first-round picks, whatever their high pick is, a couple first-round picks, probably a Jarrett Culver or another young player. They'd have to give up some great young or draft assets. They give those assets to the third team that's looking to rebuild and maybe trade a perimeter scorer of some kind to the Sixers, who would like to pair a perimeter scorer with Embiid and get rid of Ben Simmons. Not get rid of him, but like they'd need something of equal value for him.
So the Timberwolves draft picks go to Team X.
Team X.
Philadelphia gets from Team X.
The wing scorer from Team X.
And Ben Simmons goes
to the Timberwolves, and giving you a nucleus of Karl Anthony Towns, Ben Simmons, and D'Angelo Russell.
Reckless speculation.
And giving you a better mix of players in that you've got Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell that love playing on the perimeter and shooting threes and shooting from the outside. Ben Simmons
does not shoot threes.
90% of his shots come from inside 10 feet, even though he's a 6'10" point guard who only shoots inside of 10 feet.
And that doesn't drive you crazy
weird.
Because the shots come so close. Is that correct?
Oh, I'm good with that. Yeah,
okay,
he doesn't take
so
any
it drives you
mid-range
crazy
shots.
if they're 17-foot shots.
And he's a great facilitator. He's a rebounder. He passes. He's a uniquely skilled player in a league that shoots threes. He's a 6'10" point guard who can also play off the ball. And it would be interesting to see him like in the screen and roll game with D'Angelo Russell. But if you had that combination, I think it's a better trio than if it's Devin Booker, D'Angelo Russell, and Karl Anthony Towns.
You want reckless speculation?
You know this ain't gonna happen.
How about reckless trade speculation?
For the love of God!
Your thoughts?
So you're telling me that because the skill sets of all three players would be slightly different, and especially Simmons' skill set would be different than D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns, that you would actually have a better trio because you wouldn't have the redundancy, and where Simmons likes to shoot from wouldn't upset you or the Wolves because it actually falls within the parameters of what they believe to be smart basketball, which my guy Wiggy clearly did not play.
Yeah, so Wiggins and Simmons both took a lot of two-pointers. Wiggins' two-pointers come from 20 feet away.
Which is the
Simmons' two-pointers come from layup range, and that's the difference. And then you'd have three guys with different skill sets, three guys also on max contracts, so you really wouldn't have a lot of room for role players that are making more than rookie money or veteran minimums, but that's okay. I think the Wolves should explore it. I think they should pick up the phone. I think Philadelphia is more likely to trade Joel Embiid than they are to trade Ben Simmons because I think Simmons is the better player of the two and stays healthy, even though he's injured right now, stays healthy more than
What's
Joel
Simmons'
Embiid.
growth side of things right now at this point in his career?
Well, he doesn't shoot, so he has a lot of room to grow. And
Right,
if
but
he
I'm
were
saying,
to develop a three-point shot.
Can that grow, though? Like,
Yeah,
is there a feeling that can grow?
It's a good question. I mean, he did hit 2 3-pointers this season, so
Heyo.
And they were
he made
early
progress.
on, right, or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't you knock down like 2 threes in like
Pretty
the
smooth little
opening
shot,
week
too.
of the season or something?
Yeah.
And then people are like, hey, it's coming along.
Yeah,
And
do
then-
I ever think he's going to turn into like Klay Thompson? No.
Right.
But if he could even add just like a 33% 3-point shot to keep defenders honest and to knock them down, go find a spot in the corner where you can hit him from one place. That's what I would recommend to him.
And the Timberwolves are loaded with picks this year. This is from Kyle Radke at Bring Me the News, former Timberwolves.com writer too. So the Timberwolves have obviously the 17th overall pick of Brooklyn. They'll figure out which pick they're in the lottery, which is tonight. And they had the 33rd overall pick. And per tankathon, that is the most draft value in the draft.
The
Wolves,
33rd pick?
all these three picks.
All three combined.
So they had the most draft value in the draft. So they can definitely use it to probably move things up.
So if there was a team, because let me back up a step for what Declan, let's say the Wolves get like the 2nd overall pick or something, all right? Or even the 3rd overall pick. I mean, if it's the 1st overall pick, they could pretty much pick their veteran player or they can decide to draft that young player. But I think they're at a point where Towns and D'Angelo, contractually, age-wise, those guys are 23, 24 years old. Adding a 19-year-old rookie and then having to develop him for 2 or 3 years only pushes Cat and Russell closer to free agency. So I think if you could use your draft capital to get an established 3rd superstar this offseason, it changes the game for the Timberwolves, and they have the capital to do so.
Can I tell you why it makes perfect sense, too? Right now, if you come back, and it's not that Russell and Towns aren't good players and can't be exciting, because I think they can be. But right now, if you come back, so let's say you get the 2nd overall pick or something like that, and you draft a player, and okay, he's going to be good, but you don't know yet, and the draft can be a crapshoot. And you're trying to sell this team, or it's been sold. I still contend that of the major sports teams that play in this market, the Timberwolves right now are the most off the map. Like, they haven't played in months. It was a challenge to sell tickets previously. If you go the Mackey route with this, and let's say you do try and get that 3rd star, well, now you got something to sell, right? And now you've got intrigue, and now you can take a marketing campaign out there that feels fresher as well. So I think from a business standpoint, what you're saying, right or wrong from a basketball standpoint, and it might be right, but from a business standpoint, with Glenn Taylor trying to sell this team, it makes perfect sense because you are going to have to do something, I believe, beyond Russell to re-engage this community in that team.
Yes, and I think they're looking to do it. I think they're looking to do it from a basketball standpoint first, but
Sure.
I really think they're actively, aggressively pushing to make a deal like this. They know, and they have talked very much publicly and privately that a third superstar is necessary. I mean, the Lakers have two, and they might get beat in the first round of the playoffs. Like you just need top end talent, and then you can kind of figure out your role players after that. That's my theory.
Reckless speculation.
Ben Simmons.
You and Brett Robson off the rails reckless.
Make the phone call. That's right. Two of the brightest basketball minds.
I'm sure
in all
Gerson
of
has,
America.
man. I don't think Gerson has any problem making phone calls.
No. He's the guy in the fantasy league that just sends you like 9 emails a day. It's like, dude, I have a job.
Yeah, Gerson, I can't do this all the time. Gerson, it's Judd. I can't do this all the time.
So that's a wrap on this episode of Purple Daily. Reminder, tomorrow, 48 hours, we're going back to the early 80s, Eddie Murphy's first ever cinematic adventure from 1982 on Action Movie Rewind.